again, so the other type of visual data, graphs, tables, charts, and all that stuff. And when you're looking at these graphs or tables, right, especially in the context of social studies, you'll, if any of you have attended any of the science lessons, you probably are familiar with these terms as well, right? Independent variable versus a dependent variable, right? Independent variable is the factor that's being changed by the person doing an experiment or doing a study. The dependent variable is the thing that's being measured or the factor that's being measured in an experiment, right? So for instance, right, if I have some water, right, in a kettle, right, and boil the water. And initially I put it at a low temperature, but I'm increasing the temperature. And as the temperature increases, oh, the steam is a lot stronger, right? The steam is a lot stronger. So there are two variables in this example I gave you. The heat of the water and the steam that comes out. What's the independent variable in that example? What's the independent variable? What was the factor that I changed in that example? The heat, right? When I turned up the knob, right? What's the dependent variable? What changed because I turned up the heat? And as Max says, the steam or the water becoming gas, right? Becoming steam. Good, right? So that's what independent and dependent variables are. So when you see a question with a graph or a table or chart, see if like, oh, this is the thing that they change, and then this is the result from that change. Also, the control variable is basically everything else that stays the same. So for instance, if I'm turning up the heat, I'm not throwing in an ice cube, right? Because that would mess up the experiment, right? Like if I put an ice cube in the water, of course that's going to mess up the experiment, right? So the control variable is like everything else stays the same. All the factors that stay the same, okay? Now, when you're looking at text and graphics questions, those passage where, like just like in that previous example, we saw a passage and then we saw a political cartoon or a photograph. You may see a passage and then some sort of graphic or some sort of visual data, okay? So one important thing is remember, when you take the GED exam, you can use whiteboards. They will give you a whiteboard and a dry erase marker, and you can write on that. Keep track of the sources. Don't rewrite the numbers or the terms in your whiteboard. Just say, okay, question number 2. Oh, variable is this, dependent variable is this. Just keep track of that information, okay? So how does the information relate to the main idea? What do the labels represent? And again, what patterns are there in the data? So with that, let's take a look at an example of a passage. Let's take a look at this one. Okay. So in this passage, this definition of sustainability is from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. So even from the first sentence, what do you suppose is the main idea of this paragraph? Even from the very first line, even from that background. Yeah, sustainability and the environment, right? So what is the connection there? Let's take a look at this passage. Sustainability is based on a simple principle. Everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends, either directly or indirectly, on our natural environment. Sustainability creates and maintains the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony that permit fulfilling the social, economic, and other requirements of present and future generations. Sustainability is important in making sure we have and will continue to have the water, materials, and resources needed to protect human health and our environment. So, did anything change from that first part that you mentioned about, oh, this is going to be about sustainability and the environment, right? Did anything change from that? No, right? Basically, it's kind of like a definition of sustainability, tells us why sustainability is important, right? So basically, sustainability is a way to protect the environment. How do we break? Yes, exactly, Roger. How do we break? This paragraph is breaking down the definition of sustainability. So, right, talking about social, economic, other requirements, helping future generations, water, material resources, et cetera, et cetera. I'll give you a minute to try question on your own. Question number four. When you have an answer, put your answer into the poll. Give you 1 minute. Good luck. All right, let's take a look at this. So the question here, which three graphs, so again, the GD doing us a solid here, saying like, there are definitely three graphs that represent the concept of sustainability. And by the way, we have the we have like a multiple choice question here, but if you notice where it says click on the three graphs, so we just made this into a multiple choice question. But on test day, you might have a question where you literally have to click on which of these five, and you'd have to click on three of them and then essentially submit that answer. Okay. So we want to know about the concept of which graphs relate to the concept of sustainability. Now, going back into that passage, again, you don't want to like guess on something like this, right? What are some of the things that they mention about sustainability? What are some of those things they mention about sustainability? And you go ahead and just put like one or two in the chat. The big one right at the beginning, right? Environment, natural environment. Good, good, good. So we want natural environment. What else do they talk about? So there are a few different ideas here, right? Definitely the whole idea of natural environment. What else is mentioned? The resources, like Leah mentioned, right? Maintaining the conditions so that those resources are still around, right? And also, if you notice, what else is mentioned here? uh, Measured here, right? Economics, right? Things like things to help keep us alive, keep our future generations alive, right? Basically, that's what we're looking for here. So let's take a look at these choices charts one by one. So again, if this were a multiple choice question, you could kind of do this a little bit of shortcut, but let's take a look at each of these. So chart number one, is chart number one related to sustainability? Yeah, it's about people, right? And people is kind of important when you talk about sustainability because we're literally saying sustainability is about protecting future generations. So if this were a multiple choice question, you know that chart, that table, graph number one is part of the correct answer. Take a look at the choices. Are there any choices you can eliminate? Yeah, why can we cancel B, everyone? Why can we cancel B? I think we said that D, cancel it, right? Because it doesn't consider graph one exactly. So let's get rid of that one altogether. Good. Graph number two. Would this be related to the idea of sustainability? What is graph number two about? The damaging nature, deforested, right? Tropical air being deforested. So we can keep chart number two. We'll take a look at the choices. Are there any other choices we can cancel out? Exactly as Roland mentions, we can cancel out C as well. So if you notice, what's the only difference between the two remaining choices? What's the only difference between the two remaining choices? Four and five, right? So do we even need to look at number three? If the only difference between the two remaining choices is four and five, do we even need to look at number three? We don't need to look at number three. Let's look at number four. Is number four related to sustainability about resources? Sure, oil consumption. If we don't have enough oil, oh, that might be bad for the future. Are we done? Have we found the three graphs that relate to sustainability? We sure have. It's number one, number two, and number four. The correct answer, as a majority of you did put down, is indeed answer choice D. Good, 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 good. There you go. D is your answer. Nice work here with this one. All right. So this is an example of how you'd see tables, charts. And by the way, did you need to look at the numbers for any of these charts? Did anyone look at the numbers? Did any of you say, well, in graph number 4 in the US and Canada, it's about daily consumption per capita is almost about 3 gallons per capita in the US and Canada, whereas in other developed areas, it's about 1.4. Right? You didn't need to do that. You did not need to do that. Or even number one. Well, in 7000 BCE, there were barely any people, but certainly we see a big population growth after 1000 CE when the population goes from under a billion people to wow, almost like 6 billion people. It's just the topics we care about. It's just the concepts. And that's what we mentioned before about not getting caught up in the actual data and just think about what the title is, what the graph is supposed to represent. Okay? Nice work here. As always, there's some mixed practice to help to check out in the PDF for extra practice on these topics.